Money has been a constant force in human society for thousands of years, driving everything from the rise and fall of empires to the everyday decisions we make about our own lives. Yet, despite its importance, we often struggle to understand and manage our own relationship with money. In The Psychology of Money, author Morgan Housel explores the ways in which our emotions, biases, and behaviors shape our financial decisions and how we can learn to make better choices. In the first chapter, The Greatest Show on Earth, Housel uses the story of P.T. Barnum and the circus to illustrate the power of storytelling and the impact it has on our perceptions of money. He highlights the ways in which we are often drawn to narratives that are both compelling and misleading, and how these stories can lead us to make poor financial decisions. Through vivid anecdotes and insightful analysis, Housel challenges readers to examine their own assumptions and beliefs about money, and to embrace a more nuanced and realistic understanding of how it works in the world. By the end of the chapter, readers are left with a deeper appreciation of the role that psychology plays in shaping our financial lives, and a greater sense of the opportunities and challenges that lie ahead. Chapter 1: No One's Crazy. In Chapter 1 of The Psychology of Money, Morgan Housel debunks the myth that people make irrational financial decisions because they are crazy. He argues that while it may be tempting to write off others' financial choices as foolish or irrational, there is often a logical explanation behind them. Housel uses a series of anecdotes to illustrate how our personal experiences, biases, and cultural backgrounds shape our financial decision-making processes. He highlights the importance of empathy and understanding when it comes to money, and challenges readers to recognize the humanity behind financial decisions. Chapter 2: Luck and Risk. In Chapter 2, Housel explores the ways in which luck and risk intersect in the world of finance. He argues that while we tend to view financial success as the result of skill and hard work, luck plays a far greater role than we often realize. Housel illustrates this point with the story of a group of investors who each achieved success through vastly different paths. He notes that while some people are undoubtedly luckier than others, we all have some degree of control over the risks we take in life. Ultimately, Housel encourages readers to embrace humility and recognize the role that chance plays in our financial outcomes. Chapter 3: Never Enough. In Chapter 3, Morgan Housel explores the concept of never enough in the world of finance. He argues that we are often driven by a desire for more money, even when we have enough to meet our basic needs. Housel uses a series of anecdotes to illustrate the ways in which this never enough mentality can lead to dissatisfaction and financial insecurity. He encourages readers to focus on what truly matters in life, rather than constantly striving for more money. Chapter 4: Confounding Compounding. In Chapter 4, Housel delves into the power of compounding, which he describes as the most powerful force in the universe. He explains how even small amounts of money can grow exponentially over time through the process of compounding. Housel uses a series of examples to illustrate the impact of compounding on investments, and emphasizes the importance of starting early when it comes to saving and investing. He also highlights the ways in which compounding can be confounding, particularly when it comes to debt and other financial obligations. Ultimately, Housel encourages readers to embrace the power of compounding, while also being mindful of its potential pitfalls. Before we continue, we would like to inform you that we release these summaries in audio format on Spotify before we release them on YouTube in video format, with subtitles. Thank you for the support, and don't forget to hit the like and subscribe buttons. Chapter 5: Getting Wealthy versus Staying Wealthy. In Chapter 5, Morgan Housel explores the difference between getting wealthy and staying wealthy. He notes that while many people are able to accumulate wealth, far fewer are able to maintain it over the long term. Housel uses a series of examples to illustrate the factors that contribute to both getting and staying wealthy, including risk management, diversification, and avoiding lifestyle creep. He also emphasizes the importance of being mindful of one's financial goals, and being willing to adjust strategies as circumstances change. Chapter 6: Tails, You Win. In Chapter 6, Housel examines the role of rare events, or black swans, in financial outcomes. He notes that while rare events are, by definition, difficult to predict, they can have a profound impact on financial outcomes. Housel uses a series of anecdotes to illustrate the ways in which black swans have shaped financial history, from the Great Depression to the 2008 financial crisis. He also highlights the importance of being prepared for rare events, and the role that diversification and risk management can play in mitigating their impact. Ultimately, Housel encourages readers to embrace the uncertainty of the future, while also being mindful of the risks that lie ahead. Chapter 7: Freedom. In Chapter 7, Morgan Housel explores the concept of financial freedom and what it means to different people. He notes that while financial freedom may seem like a distant dream to many, it is possible to achieve with careful planning and discipline. Housel uses a series of anecdotes to illustrate the ways in which people have achieved financial freedom through a variety of means, from frugality to entrepreneurship. He also emphasizes the importance of recognizing one's own financial goals and values, and being willing to make sacrifices in pursuit of them. Chapter 8: Man in the Car Paradox. In Chapter 8, Housel examines the paradox of progress and the ways in which it can impact our financial decisions. He notes that while progress has brought about countless benefits and advancements in our society, it has also created a sense of keeping up with the Joneses that can lead to financial insecurity and discontent. Housel uses the story of the man in the car to illustrate this paradox, and how the pursuit of status can lead to financial ruin. He emphasizes the importance of living within one's means and being mindful of the impact of social comparison on our financial decisions. Ultimately, Housel encourages readers to focus on what truly matters in life, rather than simply chasing after the latest status symbols. Chapter 9: Wealth is What You Don't See. In Chapter 9, Morgan Housel explores the concept of hidden wealth and the ways in which it can impact our financial well-being. He notes that while we often think of wealth in terms of the visible markers of success, such as cars, houses, and other possessions, true wealth lies in the things that are not seen, such as financial security, freedom, and peace of mind. Housel uses a series of anecdotes to illustrate the ways in which hidden wealth can contribute to a fulfilling life, and the importance of being mindful of the difference between what we see and what truly matters. Chapter 10: Save Money. In Chapter 10, Housel examines the importance of saving money and the ways in which it can impact our financial lives. He notes that while saving money may seem like a simple concept, it is one that is often overlooked in favor of more complex financial strategies. Housel uses a series of examples to illustrate the benefits of saving money, including the power of compound interest and the ability to weather financial storms. He also highlights the ways in which saving money can be challenging, particularly in a world that encourages instant gratification and consumption. Ultimately, Housel encourages readers to embrace the power of saving and to make it a priority in their financial lives. Chapter 11: Reasonable Greater Than Rational. In Chapter 11, Morgan Housel argues that when it comes to investing and financial decision-making, it is often more important to be reasonable than to be rational. He notes that while rationality is often associated with logical decision-making, it can be difficult to apply in real-world situations where emotions and biases come into play. Instead, Housel advocates for being reasonable, which means taking into account the context of a situation and making decisions that are informed by both logic and common sense. He uses a series of examples to illustrate the power of reasonableness and the ways in which it can lead to better financial outcomes. Chapter 12: Surprise. In Chapter 12, Housel explores the role that surprise plays in our financial lives. He notes that while we often plan for the future and make decisions based on what we think will happen, the reality is that life is unpredictable, and surprises can often have a significant impact on our financial well-being. Housel uses a series of anecdotes to illustrate the ways in which surprise can both harm and benefit us, and the importance of being prepared for the unexpected. He notes that while we cannot predict the future, we can take steps to mitigate the impact of surprises, such as by building a financial buffer and being flexible in our decision-making. Chapter 13: Room for Error. Mistakes happen, but sometimes they can be a good thing. In Chapter 13, Morgan Housel explains the importance of room for error in financial decisions. Having room for error means having a buffer to deal with the unexpected, which is essential when things don't go according to plan. Being prepared for a crisis can help prevent small problems from turning into major disasters. Having room for error also allows for a more flexible approach to life, which can lead to greater happiness and peace of mind. Chapter 14: You'll Change. Change is a constant in life, and nowhere is this truer than in our financial decisions. In Chapter 14, Morgan Housel discusses the need for flexibility in financial planning. No one can predict the future, and our goals, needs, and desires are constantly changing. Therefore, it is essential to be adaptable and open-minded when it comes to our financial decisions. Being too rigid in our planning can lead to missed opportunities and unnecessary stress. The key is to be open to change and to embrace it as an opportunity for growth and progress. Chapter 15: Nothing's Free. In this chapter, Housel highlights the idea that everything has a cost, even if it's not immediately apparent. He discusses how people often overlook indirect costs, like the costs of maintaining a luxurious home or expensive car, which can add up over time and put them in a precarious financial position. Housel also discusses how even free things, like social media or job perks, can have hidden costs that we may not realize until it's too late. Ultimately, the point of this chapter is to encourage readers to think more critically about the true costs of their choices and to be aware of the trade-offs they're making. Chapter 16. You and Me. In the final chapter of the book, Housel argues that while money is often seen as a solitary pursuit, it's actually a deeply social and communal one. He highlights the ways in which our relationships with others impact our financial lives, whether it's the influence of our social circle on our spending habits or the role of luck in our financial success. Housel stresses the importance of maintaining strong relationships with friends and family and being aware of the ways in which our financial decisions affect others. Ultimately, he argues that money isn't just about accumulating wealth, but about creating a fulfilling life for ourselves and those around us. Chapter 17. The Seduction of Pessimism. Chapter 17 discusses how pessimism can be seductive and how it's easy to fall into the trap of being negative. The author argues that people tend to underestimate the world's progress and believe that things are getting worse, leading to pessimism. He encourages people to have a balanced view of the world, to be optimistic without being naive, and to appreciate the progress that has been made. In this way, people can avoid being seduced by pessimism and see the world as it is rather than as they want it to be. Chapter 18. When You'll Believe Anything. Chapter 18 discusses the idea that people will believe almost anything, especially if it confirms their pre-existing biases. The author argues that people need to be aware of their biases and try to look at things from multiple perspectives to avoid falling into the trap of believing anything that confirms their belief. The chapter also explores the concept of information cascades, where people follow the beliefs of others without considering the evidence themselves. Ultimately, the author encourages readers to think critically, consider different perspectives, and be skeptical of easy answers to complex problems. Chapter 19. Altogether Now. Chapter 19 highlights the importance of being in the right environment to succeed in life. The author notes that people's behavior is shaped by the people around them, and thus, being surrounded by like-minded individuals can influence a person's financial decisions. It's easier to make sound decisions when you're surrounded by people who share the same values as you. In this chapter, Housel shares a few examples of how people's financial success is influenced by the people around them, emphasizing the value of having a supportive and encouraging network. Chapter 20. Confessions. Chapter 20 is a reflection on the author's personal financial journey, highlighting his mistakes, misjudgments, and lessons learned. The chapter is a reminder that everyone makes financial mistakes, and that's okay. The author notes that there's no need to be ashamed of your past financial mistakes as long as you learn from them and make progress towards your goals. He emphasizes the importance of recognizing that money is not just about numbers, but about emotions, values, and psychology. In this chapter, Housel shares his own confessions and reflections on his financial journey, encouraging readers to learn from their mistakes and stay focused on their long-term goals. Conclusion. A few rules. In the conclusion of The Psychology of Money, Morgan Housel provides a set of simple and practical rules that readers can use to guide their financial lives. He emphasizes that wealth is not just about money, but about a sense of fulfillment and freedom that comes from having control over one's time and resources. He stresses the importance of focusing on what is controllable, taking a long-term perspective, and being patient and persistent. Housel also encourages readers to embrace their own individuality and to resist the urge to compare themselves to others. By following these guidelines, Housel believes that anyone can achieve financial success and find meaning and happiness in their lives.